Alright, so I was in court the other day and I heard someone say that it is better to go with a private lawyer than it was to go with the public defender, and I thought to myself, hold on a second, some of the best lawyers I've ever met in my life were public defenders. So in this video, I want to go over the top 5 reasons why you may decide to go with a public defender, and if you stick around to the end, I'll talk about 3 of the major reasons why some people choose to go with a private lawyer coming up. Hello, my name is Clyde Guilamo and I am a lawyer in the Chicagoland area, and in Law Talk for Non-Lawyers, we talk about the law in plain English. And in this video, I'm going to give you the top 5 reasons why you may decide to go with the public defender. Alright, reason number 1, of course, is the money. You don't have to pay to have a public defender represent you, whereas if you went with private counsel, you would have to pay a significant amount of money. And that doesn't include anything additional that may be necessary in your case, such as an investigation or such as experts. Those things cost money. And if you went with a private lawyer, you would be responsible for paying for those things. And the more time that your lawyer dedicates to your case, the more you should expect to pay your lawyer. But that is not the case when you go with a public defender. If it's an investigation, if it's an expert, if it's pretrial motions, if it's a jury trial, all those things are covered under the public defender. They will do those things free of cost, which is huge. So if you're thinking about going the long haul and taking your case to a trial in front of a jury, it is the public defender who will be able to do all of those items free of charge. Moving on to the second reason, which is that the public defender is only assigned to a specific judge or a specific number of judges. What that means is they get to learn the judges and their quirks. Is this the kind of judge who's fire and brimstone, or is this the kind of judge who shows a lot of grace and mercy? What is this judge's prerogative when in handling these kinds of cases? Those are things that, because the public defender only appears before a small number of judges, they start to develop that experience, that memory of how these judges act in certain kinds of cases. You see, private lawyers, they go from courthouse to courthouse, from city to city, or county to county, representing their clients wherever they may get them. So what that means is they may not have the experience with a specific judge, the one who may be handling your case. However, the public defenders, who are constantly in front of the same judges, they can give you that experience of, hey, look, I've seen this judge do this in the past or do that in the past, and that kind of knowledge is invaluable in determining what would be the best progress of your case. So remember, public defenders are appearing before a small number of judges as opposed to private counsels who would appear before many judges across many counties. Here's the third tip, is that public defenders know the state's attorney or the prosecutor who's assigned to your case. What does that mean? That means that they can go ahead and communicate with that prosecutor and know what that prosecutor is probably going to say, just because they've been with that prosecutor for an extended period of time. Is this a prosecutor who's new? Is this a prosecutor who tries to avoid going to trial? Is this a prosecutor who has great experience and always dots his I's and cross his T's? These are the kind of things that public defenders start to learn over time that your private lawyer may not know if he's bouncing from place to place or she's going from courtroom to courtroom and county to county. They don't start to develop those kind of relationships with the prosecutors. So it's very important that sometimes public defenders do know and can share with you, what is this prosecutor like? Is this the kind of guy that you want to mess with? Or is this the kind of guy that does not play games? This is something that your public defender would be able to tell you that sometimes a private lawyer cannot. Hey, if you're getting value out of this video, consider hitting the like button and subscribing to this channel. It really helps out a lot. All right, back to the video. Moving on to the fourth reason, the public defender has a 100% legal practice, and let me explain. When you're a private lawyer, some of your practice involves meeting with clients, reviewing discovery, filing motions, and going to court. But another aspect of your practice is advertising, is intake, is collecting money from clients, these are business things that a lawyer who's engaged in the business of law needs to worry about. Not the case with the public defender. The public defender is probably in the courtroom from the morning to lunchtime, and then in the afternoon they're going down to the jail, meeting with their clients, handling motions. They're doing 100% legal work. And let me tell you, one of the benefits are, what happens when you stop paying your private lawyer? Your private lawyer will get off of your case. They are not going to work for free. And you wouldn't expect them to, but not the case with a public defender. You stop paying your public defender, and guess what? You never started paying your public defender, and it's perfectly fine. They will continue to represent you. So this is one of the huge benefits, that their loyalty is to you. They don't have to worry about finances. These lawyers are going to be worried about making sure that your wishes are carried out, okay? So that's one of the benefits. Sometimes when you go with a private lawyer, what happens if there's a conflict in between what you think is the appropriate outcome is and what your lawyer thinks is the appropriate outcome? That kind of conflict may go ahead and ultimately result in that lawyer getting out the case, but not the case with the public defender, okay? So this is one of the benefits of going with the public defender. Their loyalty is to you, and their practice is a 100% legal practice. And all right, now we're at the fifth reason why you would go with a public defender, and that's their experience. Now, let me start off by saying public defenders go to the same law schools that private lawyers do. They have the same degree that private lawyers have, and they've been practicing for the same number of years that private lawyers have, okay? There's no difference in that. But let me tell you what public defenders do that private lawyers don't. They represent people that ultimately may not have winning cases. They may have losing cases, but when they decide, I want to take my case to trial, the public defender will go ahead and represent them in those cases. Private lawyers, they can cherry pick their cases. They can pick winners. They can pick cases in which they have great arguments. Not the case with public defenders. So oftentimes public defenders, they start to develop these arguments, or they develop these abilities because of the nature of their practice. They're representing people who may say, I want to go to trial no matter what, and I'm not going to take any plea deal regardless of the strength of the case. So public defenders, they often go to trial more often than private lawyers. There are some private lawyers that might go to trial 1 time a year, 2 times a year, 4 times a year. But public defenders, they could be going to trial as much as 4 times in a given month, depending on how often or how frequent their practice is, depending on which courtroom they're assigned to. If it's a high volume courtroom like DUIs, they might be going to trial often. Whereas if it's a low volume courtroom, they might be going to trial maybe once every 2 months or once every 3 months. But oftentimes, public defenders are going to trial more so than your private lawyers. So those are the 5 top reasons why you would go with a public defender. But at the beginning of this video, I said that I was going to talk about 3 of the top reasons why you would go with a private lawyer. And here they are. Starting with the first top reason, which is you do not get to choose who your public defender is, but you do get to choose who your private lawyer is. Let's say there's a courtroom where there are 2 public defenders, and one is a very ambitious, very passionate public defender who really represents her clients to the best of her abilities. But then you have another lawyer who has lost his fire, who maybe he's a month away from retirement, and unfortunately your case got assigned to the second lawyer. That's something that you do not get to choose. However, if you go with a private lawyer, you can walk into one lawyer's office and ask them what you think. You can go into another lawyer's office and ask them what they think. And ultimately, you can hire the lawyer who you feel is best going to represent your interests. And this is something that you can have as a private lawyer, that freedom of choice that you don't have with the public defender. All right, the second main reason why you would go with a private lawyer is that private lawyers have more time to dedicate to your particular case than public defenders. You hear it on the news, you hear about studies that are done and about the volume of cases that public defenders have. May it be 200, may it be 300, may it be as ridiculous as 400 or 500 cases that may be assigned to one public defender. That is not going to be the case, generally speaking, with the attorney that you choose, okay? That lawyer may be able to give you more face time, may be able to meet you in your office or in their office and speak with you about your case. Those luxuries of having that face-to-face time with a lawyer, you may not get it with a public defender who has a very serious caseload. So that's another great reason why you may choose to go with private lawyer. All right, and the third main reason is the eligibility, okay? Not everyone is eligible for the public defender. If you're making good money working a full-time job, then chances are you are not eligible for the public defender. But also with regard to eligibility, I just want to talk about, is it a good fit? Okay, if you're a Spanish-speaking person and the public defender office has no Spanish-speaking lawyers, then it may not be a good fit for you to go with a public defender, and you may choose a private counsel who can speak to you in your native language, okay? Or what if you feel that the public defender's office is down talking to you, or they don't have the same goals as you do when it comes to resolving your case about what is an appropriate outcome in your case. Those are things that when you shop around and you ask different lawyers, they might be in line with the outcome that you want to see in your case because it's a better fit, okay? So it may just be the case that you're ineligible for the public defender, or it's just not a good fit given what your expectations are with the outcome of your case. So those are three great reasons why someone would go with a private lawyer. And if you're thinking about hiring a lawyer, I actually made a video covering 7 things you should consider when hiring a lawyer. So I'll link that in the description below. For my lawyers watching this video, tell me, were there any reasons that I left out with either going with a public defender or going with a private lawyer? And for those non-lawyers watching this video, tell me, what was your experience like? Did you have a good or bad experience either going with a public defender or a private lawyer? All right, take care, guys. Bye-bye.